Kitty cat! Kitty! Let's see if we can get something done and figure something out. If my brain works today. I want more monsters. I need like 12 monsters, dude. Holy shit. That would be badass. I can't have 12 monsters. Ooh. Okay. We're doing some stuff. Create function for writing to buffer in order to check if the buffer will overflow, then handle overflow. Yeah. Okay. Should this be a class? Or should this be a struct? It should be a class. Yeah. For certain a class. So then here we have a set data. Set data. Set data takes a T. It takes a type, right? How do you do that? It takes any array. It takes an array, it takes a list. How does this work? Uh, in C#, how to write a function that takes in an array of type T. Indeterminate. Okay, it was all... Okay. It was so close. And then this needs to say... We need another function here called, like, public void bool. Just the void. Run length check. Something. If length is greater than memory settings dot current length, then we need to expand it. And that's going to be done by... This is also a little dangerous right now, because there's also like a maximum we can reach that'll crash the game. So it's not really as simple as just doing this, but it's going to be... While length is greater than memory settings dot current length. Right? This is where it becomes dangerous. Here we're gonna say memory settings dot extension count plus. Then we do that, and then we're gonna say buffer equals new buffer. Oh shit. How the fuck do we do this? Yeah, it's gonna have to be like count is now memory settings dot current length. And then we need a stride, which is buffer dot stride. Buffer dot type. Buffer it. What kind of type is it? It's not get type. Compute buffer type. did I say? Compute buffer type. You can't. There's a dog video. So basically, we need to create the buffer in here. Right, so this actually needs to say int count, int stride. What did I say? Compute buffer type. Compute buffer type. Compute buffer mode. Compute buffer mode. Oh, this is gonna suck so hard. Like that. And then here we're just going to keep a public count ride something like that. And then here we can say here we just have stride, right? Type and then CBM. Dog. Dog is howling. The dog, it is howling. Right, and then here we need to say run length check array.length. And then we say, because now we have created a new buffer, then we simply say buffer.setData array. And then we do this again for a list. Wait, setData can't use a list? I was sure it could use it. It can use a list. Fuck you. The type T must be a non-nullable value type in order to use it as a parameter T in the generic type or method compute buffer set data T list T. Fuck you. That's it. Okay. Sure. I think something like this. This should return a boolean. And it should look like this. Bool exceeds maximum memory. It was false. No, it just needs to be like this. Like that. And then the question is, like, how do you handle that? Like, if the buffer exceeds the maximum size allowed, what do you do? Do you just say, no, this doesn't work? Or do you take the memory you're trying to write and just cut off the excess? I think we'll just keep what we had already and just not set. If exceeds maximum memory, then debug.log error Error. Attempting to set buffer but exceeding maximum memory allowed. Like that. That way we don't set anything. And how should we handle the maximum? Because the memory settings as an init length, extension count, length, extension value. But I feel like the memory settings needs to contain the stride too. Like maybe these things should be set in the memory settings as well, just automatically. That way you can access it here. Because this is really about like actual memory, so a length can't just be a length, it needs to be a length times stride, right? But but it could also just be a setting that we just set, kind of like a calculated setting. Because we have a count, right? So we can just base it on a maximum count. Because when we make it, we will know what our stride is. I think that's a little bad, but either way, we would have to calculate one of the values. I would need to calculate either the count or the stride, like maximum stride or maximum count. So either way, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to focus just a little. It's just a little bit much going on right now. Okay. Maximum allowed length, right? We set that there. And then that's a count. So then here we do this. Runs length check. Exceeds maximum memory. So then here we're gonna say if length is greater than memory settings dot current length, then if we'll just say immediately if length is greater than memory settings dot maximum allowed length, that's an easy one, like just right away, then return true. Okay, so that's all we need to do, else we do this. I mean, it doesn't need an else. Because yeah, otherwise we just return false here. I think that should be good. But then this is the issue here. We have to set every buffer here. And this is no longer called settings. This is now... Should I call it a manager? I think it should be called a manager, not a setting. Let's see, there. It should be called, this is a handler. This should be called a compute buffer manager. Shouldn't have these. Bro. What is happening? Why won't it go to the right place? Why does it work there? Am I... What is happening? Bro. Alright, well, whatever. I guess. Hey, look. Oh. Okay. And see, here now. How does this work? Well, that didn't work. Okay, next tactic. I missed. Now, are they in the same order? Transparency buffer, object data, building data buffer, tile data buffer, static light source, static grid, static grid matrix buffer, dynamic grid matrix buffer, path matrix, static light source, dynamic light source, tile preview buffer, tile preview swap buffer, compute world index container buffer. Okay, so that's the ones we have there. And then we do that. Then they are missing memory settings. So here we now need a new memory settings for each one. And the memory settings... Okay. Okay, what does it take? It takes... I just hate this, having to do that. Init length. This is something we shouldn't need to set. Length extension value and maximum allowed length. I think those are the only things we need to actually set here. No, not even. But length extension value. I would say maximum. Maximum allowed length. Should potentially be all we need to take. Nah. Let's also have... What's it? Int length extension value. Init length is count stride. And then an extension count, that's extension count. Length extension... No, extension count is 0. Length extension value. And maximum allowed length. Yeah. I think these should be just ints. think something like that. Extension length value, building transparency buffer. I think generally speaking here, I don't know if we should do like 20% price increase or something, but maximum allowed length. We don't really have a reason to put anything here at the moment. So I'll just put double what the count is, and then we'll see. Oh, I didn't remove the memory settings. Yeah, now it's done. Object data, 1,000 objects. That's probably way too much, but sure, why not? Tile data buffer manager. This one should not be... You should not be able to make it bigger. And maximum size should be the same as this here. So here we're gonna just say... int world size. Int temp world size. We just set that there. And then there. Assuming that this doesn't make the world size get caught by that. Static grid matrix. What is that? I don't know if that's even in use. No, haven't used that yet. I'm not sure what that is and what I was planning on doing with that. Path matrix buffer. Oh, hold on. It was the grid matrix buffer. What is this used for? Grid highlight static. This is for highlighting the grid. This one kind of sucks. But I don't know really what other way to do it. Basically, I have the tile matrix, which is just the tiles. But then, on top of that, there's also a highlight grid. But the annoying part of that is that in order for me to highlight anything, I need to have a grid for highlighting that is the same size as the entire tile buffer. So that could be like 1,000 times 1,000 times 100. Which is a huge amount of data. I mean, it's not really, but it can be. Like... Now, what did I just do? Fuck your 32E. That's 400 megabytes. Holy shit. I guess it's okay-ish for now, but it's not actually okay. 400 megabytes on the GPU is massive. You don't, like, you have like 4 gigabytes to work with. But I think we're still at maximum like 2 gigs or something used. And 1,000 times 1,000 times 100 is a very large map. Very, very large. Yeah, it shouldn't be separate. Like, the idea behind it was nice. It makes it easy because I can just have a separate buffer that just handles it, and then in order for it to like... I don't have to overwrite anything or write anything here or there, but it uses up tons of memory. That, like, a highlight is... Right now it's like 2 bits. It could be 3 bits. So it really depends on what exactly I need. But like, if it's just 2 bits, then it should be written to the to some bits on one of the tile integers, and that's it. And then that should be handled and managed. Like, those tiles should be written and updated as they need to be updated. Because it shouldn't be a lot, like it should be just a few things that need to be written. Bake highlights into tile. So this is actually the size of the world. I'm a little bit confused as to why the count is set to this. Right? It should be the same as the world. But it should and it shouldn't be the same as the world, right? So this should be 0 and world size. Path Matrix Buffer Manager. This is also a little tricky. I don't really know what to do with this one. Path Matrix. Because I feel like this is the same as this. Same with path, question mark. Because this one right now is being dynamically set to whatever the size of like the thing is. I believe. No, the path is. The static grid. No, the static grid is also being set to that, but it shouldn't be. Because it's like, we're setting a start position of the highlight, and then it has like... Because that means that if I highlight the bottom left tile and the top right tile, then it will be the size of the world. So it's like dynamically keeping itself small. But it shouldn't be doing this in the first place at all. Like, it just shouldn't exist like this. Static light source buffer manager. Light source limit. That's fine. Then we just do light source limit times 1.2. cast to an int. And the stride will be light source limit times 2. This doesn't even make sense. Actually, it should be light source limit times 0.1. And then we have a light source limit there. Then the initial size should be so light source limit divided by 2. And then we expand it as we add more light sources. I'll be right back. Ooh. I do not know how much more power I have in me today. Okay, this is rough. Tile data preview buffer manager. This is the one I was working on. I don't know how big this should be. I'm gonna set this to be 0, 0. For now. I just don't know. Ooh. World Index Container Buffer Manager. That's tiny. That's super tiny. I'm gonna set this to 0 and maximum allowed length. I'm just gonna set this to like 20 or something. Or we can set this to 1 actually, whatever. That's extension value. Compute static light areas buffer manager. All of these are the same. Light area map size. Shadow source buffer. Shadow areas buffer. Yeah, they're all the same. And that means that they should never extend. Like, this is the maximum. These need to be rewritten and reconstructed. If they are ever expanded on. Basically. Works like a charm. But here now we're setting buffers. So this here is a little different. This is gonna be dot manager dot buffer. Slamming doors. $100% discount. Graveyard Keeper. Are they releasing a new game? No. Weird. Why is it free? Okay, they are adding. They are releasing Graveyard Keeper 2. Okay. I actually never really played Graveyard Keeper. It looks really nice. I like how Graveyard Keeper looks. We should go up and just delete the buffers. This one, there. We need a function in the manager to create a new buffer within the manager. I think we can do this. And then instead what we'll do here is we'll say buffer.release. And that's it. Yeah, see, this is bad. Compute. What am I even doing here? This looks like some kind of weird, like, copy-paste failure. Oh yeah, I started doing something here, like in the middle. Whatever. Here we have a targeted right. Right, so we have a buffer.set data. But that comes with more overloads. Here we have a managed buffer start index, compute buffer start index and account. List, native array. Yeah. So we need to make set data functions for those as well. Overloads. So just to be clear, which one am I using here? There's one. We're using an array, integer, value, length. What is that? Managed buffer start index, compute buffer start index. Right. Int managed buffer start index. Managed compute buffer start index. Oh, int count. Yeah. This doesn't make any sense, really. Here we need to say compute buffer start index plus count. If that exceeds memory, then do we run length check? Yep, that's it. Then we need to do the same thing for a list. Holy shit. Oh my god. Not even been 2 hours, man. Oh my god. Today is a struggle. I'm out of juice. Why doesn't this work? This should work now. The temporary doesn't exist. Oh. I think I'm gonna have to stop. I don't want to, but I can't think. Oh, I'm feeling a little sick. Yeah, I have some other things I have to do anyway. So I'll go and get that done. But, yeah. Basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to... I'm trying to change all the buffers so that they manage their own memory up to a maximum. It should actually be like a little bit more complicated than it is, but within like the circumstances, it's fine. Basically, I'm pre-allocating a certain amount of memory to the buffers, but it's a value that is just out of thin air, right? While in reality, we should actually check how much memory does the current GPU actually have, and then allocate things based on that. But that's so much more complicated, and as long as we operate within the assumption that they have like 4 gigs of memory minimum, then we can at least make things work quicker and then handle like that kind of optimization later. Because it's so, like some things need a certain amount of memory. That's just how it is. Like the tile matrix needs to have a certain amount of memory. If that memory doesn't exist, it's fucked. Like you can't play. You can't start the game. It just doesn't work. While light sources or something like that, for example, could theoretically be culled entirely. Like you actually wouldn't necessarily need to have that, other than the sun, which is just an angle right now, so it's not actually a light source necessarily. So for those, like, as long as there's a memory left, that could be allocated to that at like a percentage basis after the tile memory has been allocated and objects has been allocated. Objects being 1,000 baseline is way too much, but it also doesn't matter. Like, unless it's 1,000,000, it doesn't matter how big it is, really. 1,000,000 tiles, like, tiles are pretty much the heaviest value or heaviest data type, and we can handle 1,000,000 of those easily. Like I said, it's like 400. It might be like, I think a tile might be 4 integers. Yeah, tile data is 4 integers. So that's actually quite a lot of data. That would be 1,600 megabytes. Which is also not a lot of data, you know? Like, but that's the maximum size that I use as like an example usually. And if you just reduce like the height of the map to 50 instead of 100, then all of a sudden that's 800 megabytes. And even then 50 is probably, like 20 is probably reasonable, not 50. It really depends on like what the size of the largest structure that needs to exist is on that map. Yeah, we'll stop there. Badass, terrible stream, but it happens. Until next time. Thanks, Ryan. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Yeah. Welcome. Goodbye.